You know, people always end up saying, oh, this is what happens when you get older, don't get old. You end up feeling this way. Do you feel that way? How old are you, by the way? Can I ask?
I'll be 65 in a few weeks.
65. Do you ever feel those kinds of things like, oh, this is just a product of aging?
No, I feel like I'm faster now than I was when I was younger, and I can actually ski harder down the mountain because I'm a little more time to exercise.
Yeah.
And I can finally get my tennis game where I want it. And I'm ready to take up a new sport. I want to do like kites.
Here we are arriving. Look at this. Look at this place. Oh, hi.
So once again, there's only one man clever enough to have perpetrated such a dastardly crime. Ha! And I thought you were ready to give up.
Oh, thank you so much. Guys, Chloe just served me some soup. Look at the food.
Have you got Chloe the chef?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this is a Nutritarian sized salad, you guys.
Oh, yeah. Look at this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
You make it up.
What kind of dressing do we have, Chloe?
Today.
A raspberry vinaigrette.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yummy. Looks so good. Hi, what's your name?
Linda.
Linda,
Yeah.
and Linda's from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you, what has been the most impactful thing about this time that you've been here so far?
Learning a lot.
Yeah.
And also losing a lot of weight in a very short time.
Okay.
Losing visceral fat, even though I didn't believe I had much of it.
Sure.
So therefore, that has been a huge part.
Wow.
And all the blood is in the right parameters now.
Yeah. How long have you been here?
2 months.
2 months. Wow.
Yeah, 2
when
months.
did you start to feel some really good effects from your visit?
Oh, almost immediately.
Really?
Within
That's amazing.
3 weeks, I felt completely energized, completely
Wow.
ready to take on a heap of these hills around here.
Nice. Oh, that's wonderful.
So, fantastic results for everyone that I've seen here too.
Yeah?
You know,
That's great.
they've had more medical problems.
Okay.
And they're all getting good results. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Linda.
Okay.
Okay.
Very happy.
This is so exciting. I'm in the main house here where some of the guests are staying, and I found another Cheri who spells her name the same way. So nice to meet you. Are you enjoying your time here?
Oh, very much.
Yeah?
Very, very much.
What have you
amazing.
what have you found to be the most like impactful thing for you?
Well, I guess I really, truly feel transformed.
Do you?
I truly do. When I first came and I saw the sign about transformation of weight to, and I didn't realize it till maybe the past week, and my health, my energy, my thinking, I just all around feel just like a different person.
Really?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to start to feel this positivity? How long that you were here did it start? Did it sort of?
I would think Probably after the first 3 weeks or so.
Okay, yeah,
I
so
would think that would be.
It was a good chunk of time.
Yes, yeah. The first week was definite transition, and then, but it's been a lot of small progressions.
Yeah.
That you don't really realize until you think, well, I'm not dealing with this anymore. You know,
wow.
It's just been progressive.
Wow.
And plus weight loss, which, you know.
How much, can I ask? How much?
I've lost 13 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That feels good.
Yes, it feels very good.
Yeah.
You have a lot to lose.
Okay, well, yeah, but you look fantastic.
Oh,
and I can
thank
see
you.
the radiating energy that you
yes,
feel.
Yeah. I mean, it truly is transforming in every way. In every way. Yeah.
Thank you, Cheri.
Well, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye-bye.
Hey guys, Cheri from The Watering Mouth here. Another exciting interview with one of my favorite guys, Dr. Furhman. Hi, Dr. Furhman.
Hi, Cheri. Good to be here. Good to see you again.
Good to have you again. Thank you for having me at the retreat. If you guys don't know, we are here at Dr. Furhman's new Eat to Live retreat. Place where you can come and learn all about Eat to Live food, among many other things. We'll talk more about that in a second. As with all my videos that are related to the Eat to Live lifestyle, the Nutritarian healthy way of eating, I include a cheat sheet with every video. You can sign up for that at thewateringmouth.com/cheat sheets. What we're gonna be offering in this video is the tips that Dr. Furhman's talking about, so you guys can have them as easy reference to sort of flip through and keep them at home, and always have Dr. Furhman's voice running through your head. Okay, so thewateringmouth.com/cheat sheet, sign up for that, and you can get all the old ones too with recipes and PDFs and all that good stuff. Today I have a really interesting topic. We're gonna be talking all about cravings and food addiction today. In my experience as a Nutritarian, I find that cravings are the thing that always throw me off. It's the hard part of getting over the way we used to eat and getting to the place where we want to eat, okay? So I'm gonna set up a few things here and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty on cravings, and then we'll talk a little bit about the retreat too. So we're gonna start off here. I wanted to ask you a few personal questions. You guys, if you've seen any of my interviews before, you know I like to get personal. I've shown Dr. Furhman's fridge before, and you know, he eats exactly what he says he does, even when he's traveling. So I'm gonna get a little personal here.
That was my fridge on the road, though, in a hotel room in Las Vegas.
Well,
it wasn't really my.
Yeah, but I mean, that's I think the best kind of fridge to see, right? Because you see what you would do if you were on the fly too. And I know a lot of people got a lot of benefit about that. So I'm gonna ask you some personal questions here. And it was funny because after I interviewed you last time, I was packing up my stuff and I just was curious. I said, do you ever go to restaurants? And before I even finished asking the question, you said no. You just were like, no. And I said, why? So why don't you ever go to restaurants?
I wouldn't say never, but rare, but I guess the question is because I'm too busy.
Yeah.
And it wastes a tremendous amount of time to sit in a restaurant for hours and to wait for somebody to bring you food. I've got things to accomplish and things to do.
Yeah.
So it's much easier for me to, let's say, go to a Whole Foods market and go to the salad bar and fill up exactly what I want.
Right,
put the exact amount of onions on it, or whatever I want, the mushrooms, whatever I want on my plate, and eat it and get out of there and get back to work.
Yeah.
Or to be able to, you know, going to a restaurant, you can, and I do that with might be a social reason, to meet a friend or to meet another couple with my wife or something. Or in New York City, we're going out to, you know, that would be a relatively rare occasion because, but generally, if I'm on the road eating, I'd rather go to a place that has a salad bar. I pick what I want. Yeah. Otherwise, you're getting a little portion of vegetables this big. Like I ordered this like mosh salad. Oh, I love mosh.
Yeah.
That salad has pomegranate in it. Oh, that sounds so good, delicious and fresh. Oh, let me have one of those for $14.95. They brought it to me. It was like 2 bites. I said, well, can I have 14 of those, please?
Exactly. Yeah, so definitely the portion size, but also I think what's key here too is just that lack of emotional connection to restaurants also, because a lot of, I think what people struggle with is giving up restaurants because it's a social, you know, thing that they've done with their life. Like, what are we gonna do? Oh, let's go to a restaurant. But it kind of just shows after you're out of that, I'm sure you have a lot of work to do, but there's just so many other things to do.
I'd rather go to a person's house or them come to my house and have the really great food that has the portions we want, but also really tastes great.
Right.
If the restaurants that are serving the healthier food, it usually doesn't taste very good because they don't know how to make vegetables taste good. Right. And their soups are just loaded with salt. And if you go to even these raw food restaurants, they're loaded with oil. They have agave nectar in them. I could go with it, leave with a dry mouth. They had salt. They had sea salt in it.
Yes.
You know, it's just not even healthy.
Yeah.
And so even in a vegan restaurant or raw food, there's still usually not. There's some compromise you're making where the food isn't as good as you can make on your own.
Right.
So I'd much prefer to go to a friend, or most of my friends are Nutritarians.
Yep.
And I have friends all over the country. You know, if I want to go skiing, I can go anywhere I want and stay at a friend's house.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And we have fun cooking together too.
Right.
And we have fun, and they have fun and we even have fun shopping together. You know, it's even fun shopping and picking out things and making a delicious gourmet meal together, making a real ice cream.
Yeah.
You know, making something like with a frozen banana type ice cream or frozen fruit ice cream mashed together and enjoying that. It's much better than you know. But there are some Nutritarian type restaurants, but they're few and far between.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely hard to see. I
can manage in a restaurant, but I prefer not. It's easier and more enjoyable not to have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that. Just kind of flipped something in my head. I love when you said that, because then it's about sort of flipping the idea of a social event, rather than having someone serving you food, turn it into a thing amongst you and your friends, right? Where you cook together and you shop together and things like that. Yeah, the whole event could be that. Okay, cool. Thank you for that.
We even have I'm just thinking with my friends, what we do is that, we even have like a competition. He's making one dish and I'm making another dish, and then the people are coming and seeing which one they like better, and who won the competition made the most tasting dish.
I like that.
You know, from what we bought, and it was putting things together and showing people that, you know, so this type of food really tastes great anyway.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. It's not, you know, some people might think it's, when they start into this, they might think it's like a conspiracy, like, oh, these people really miss salt, they really miss all this stuff, and they just are eating it because they know it's good. But in truth, and I am a testament to this, after years, almost 6 years doing this now, you actually do change, and I promise.
Right, it's the food that's the healthiest is the food we prefer to eat for taste as well. And the recipes that we make that have the anti-cancer ingredients actually have the most flavor, variety, texture, and they're most enjoyable to eat. So if I was eating for taste, I would still choose to eat this. More conventional food doesn't taste good to us anymore. Right. Because it doesn't have the subtle flavors. It's all just salty or sweet. Right. Or spicy. But it really has been overcooked, and you can't taste all the various flavors that are playing the full symphony of flavors that you get to when you know how to use natural foods right. You know? Yeah, great. How did you eat growing up as a kid? And then how did you get into like the Nutritarian way of eating? Right. Well, I probably ate pretty conventionally, I think, to about age 10 or 11 or 12, around 10 or 11, I think. Yeah. And then my overweight, somewhat sickly father started reading Dr. Herbert Shelton's books, who was located in San Antonio, Texas. Okay. And he was one of the founders of the natural hygiene movement. Right. And he recommended a lot of raw food and fruits and vegetables in the diet, food combining, things like that doesn't hold up to scientific scrutiny today. Yeah. But he still told people that, you know, you are what you eat, and these diseases that Americans suffer with can be beat, and you don't have to be obese and have diabetes and have heart disease and have headaches. And so my father, who had a lot of pain and kidney problems and overweight and all these issues, started us eating healthier and put a vegetable garden in our backyard. Started growing, put a fruit orchard in our backyard. And started giving me lunches with a lot of fruit in them. And with the packages of sunflower seeds I take to school. And I would sell them to my friend for $0.25, and I'd buy vanilla pudding. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. I was a kid, you know. I interviewed your daughters, and I heard a little bit of that too. But it's normal. It's normal. So. And my daughters too, they ate much healthier than they would admit to. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Absolutely. They ate pretty good. Their memory is like a few of the times they weren't. You know what I mean? Yeah, they just remember the off stuff. They forget all the kale they had. They forget all the healthy stuff they ate, right? That they did eat. So me too. I ate a lot of healthy stuff when I was young, and because I was a competitive athlete, I was competitive figure skater, training, exercising. I can remember driving out with a ton of food in the back of our car, and the back seat was loaded with food. I ate a lot of food and exercising all day long. Yeah. Okay. This is my favorite question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this, but do you have cravings? Do you crave any foods? No, I don't crave anything. Okay. I have foods I love to eat. Okay. But I wouldn't call it a craving. All right. You know, I was with friends the other night, and I said, we're at Whole Foods, and I said, let's go get the frozen jackfruit. They only have 3 bags left of frozen jackfruit at Whole Foods Market, and we each took a bag. I was thinking I wanted jackfruit,
Yeah.
but I wasn't craving it. I just like jackfruit.
Yeah, you just like it.
Just buy things I like and eat them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's an interesting concept, right? Because the difference between what he's saying and maybe what we feel on the, coming from standard American diet is that the thing that happens in your brain, I call it the spiral, where you start thinking of the thing you're craving, or you maybe not even thinking of a specific thing at all, but you start that craving spiral in your head. Things get so crazy that you either can't resist that food or you eat something else or whatever, which is such a different, and I want to mention this because it's such a different feeling than just liking a food. But when you like a food as a nutritarian, you can sometimes actually feel guilty about really liking a food and not knowing the difference because you're thinking you're actually craving it and you're going crazy when you just want an apple. Like the other day, all I could think of was an apple, and I'm like, oh, they're so sweet, they're so cold in the fridge, I'm so excited to have one. And I had one and I was like done with it, and it did everything I needed it to do. And I was like, wow, this is quite a different feeling than craving like chocolate cake and then eating the cake and eating the Doritos and eating all the other things around it, and not being able to satisfy that craving. So
well, you either have a biochemical addiction that's affecting chemicals in your brain and hormones, or you have an emotional attachment to your addiction,
right?
Because there's an interlay of things that associated with not meeting your addiction causes pain, because you go through withdrawal symptoms, and meeting your addiction causes a heightened degree of central nervous system pleasure because you excessively stimulate dopamine, and cravings are only there when you keep feeding those two things. Once you've resolved that, and this person gets off cigarettes, they may have lost all the physical addiction to cigarettes within the first 4 months. But they may have emotional addiction that continues for more than a year, for 15 months. Okay. Still thinking, oh, I used to enjoy, this is a time I really would enjoy having a smoke.
Right.
They don't physically need it. They just missing their emotional attachment to take to a cigarette. But that leaves phase 2 with time.
Yes, okay.
Same thing with food, that there is no such thing what you just described in a person that's healthy.
Right.
You don't get a craving for an apple.
Okay.
If you're hungry, any food will suffice.
Yes, yes.
If you're really hungry and there's no physiological or emotional attachment, then whether it's an apple, or if it was a mango, or if it was a bowl of salad with a Russian fig dressing on it, you would have been anything that you liked would have satisfied you. It wouldn't have had to be one food.
Right.
When you're hungry, you're just looking for calories that taste good. It doesn't have to be one particular type of food.
Right.
It has to be one particular type of
but
food. Then you're looking for sugar, or sweet, or you're looking for oil. You're looking for some quality in the food that you feel you need. That's an addiction. When you're not addicted, you don't need a certain quality. You just need calories.
Yeah, but in that example, when you say like you're excited about the jackfruit, so when you think of the jackfruit, though, you are thinking of the exciting qualities of the jackfruit, like the sweetness and the flavor, the flavor kind of a thing. So but it's. So how is that different from a craving then when you are interested in the jackfruit and you want the jackfruit?
I'm making a choice to have the jackfruit over the frozen mango.
Right.
That were both available.
Right.
Because I can have the frozen mango, which really I like just as much.
Yeah.
But I don't have the jackfruit that often. So I'm looking to have something different, like the jackfruit.
Right.
But I would have been just as happy if the jackfruit wasn't there. I would have taken the frozen mango.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was waiting for jackfruit.
Right.
I just wanted some fruit after I ate dinner.
Well, in my example, in my example, this apple that I had, it was the only fruit I had, so we'll say that. But just the excitement of having an apple over, because I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but there's this thing that they say that, it's kind of like what he just said, where if you're hungry, an apple will suffice. If you're craving, an apple would never suffice. And so there's kind of that idea that like when you get hungry for something, if you can think of an apple and go, oh, I don't want that, it's not hunger,
the caloric concentration is not there to stimulate dopamine. So the apple's not going to satisfy a physical addiction because it's not calorically concentrated enough.
Yes.
And the amount of sugar it generates to you is not sufficient to stimulate the brain like an opiate would, or like snorting cocaine.
Right.
So when you have the apple, you would need vanilla ice cream or a piece of cheesecake.
Yes.
That would do it. Or a chocolate chip cookie, but not an apple. Not enough concentrated calories.
Right.
So once people, us Nutritarians who've been divorced from those highly concentrated sweets long enough, not only don't we not want them, but they don't even taste good to us, the high concentrated sweet. It's too overly sweet. it overwhelms the senses of the sugar, and it makes you feel like, heck, how do people eat it? Or like you eat something too salty. How do people eat so much salt?
Yes.
It tastes terrible.
Yeah.
You know, I've tasted conventional ice cream, like Carvel ice cream.
Yeah.
Right? It's too sweet, overly sweetened, but I can taste the bleach and the chemicals in it. Your taste buds get better because you're healthier, your smell improves, and your taste improves.
Yeah.
So it actually tastes foul. It tastes rotten because I taste the bleach they use to wash the machines.
Wow.
And I can taste the chemicals they have in it, so it has like an off taste. So it has a sweet with an off taste, as opposed to eating a frozen banana whipped with mixed with macadamia nuts and some real vanilla bean powder.
Right, where you can get all those flavors.
It has a creamy flavoring with no chemical off taste that's making me turning off and making me feel disgusted by it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. That, so he's clearly like the superpower of this lifestyle, since he's the one that started it. But anybody can get there. Anybody can sort of heal themselves to this point where, because this would be, right, the sort of black belt status that you talk about, which I have a video on about being...
It takes about 6 months to get the taste buds strong enough so you enjoy.
Yeah.
We prefer a Nutritarian ice cream over the sweetness of the conventional ice cream.
Right.
That takes about 6 months, but 6 months is not enough time to recognize that you really don't prefer to have the barbecued ribs and the cheeseburgers and the apple pie a la mode anymore. You don't. It takes that takes more time, because obviously with time you realize that those foods which you think you loved and had this memory of being part of your childhood and having memory you used to celebrate with those foods on a special occasion. Now when you eat those foods, it takes years, because you've got the reinforcement that it didn't taste as good as you thought.
Yeah.
Your taste buds have changed. You don't like them like you used to like them.
Yeah.
They make you feel ill after you eat them.
Yeah.
You were up all night with a dry mouth, and then you couldn't move your bowels the next morning.
Yeah.
You had abdominal pain, or because when your body gets healthier, then the foods that are not healthy actually are very uncomfortable to eat. They don't taste as good, and you don't feel well after you eat them.
Right.
It's like the heroin addict, who's initially a little bit of heroin made him feel high, but after we build up tolerance for it, he could take a huge dose of heroin to get the same height.
Yeah.
But now that he's off heroin, he goes to the detox place and he stays for 12 weeks, no heroin. That's when these addicts die. They go back home and they detox from the heroin, and then they take a huge dose they think they need it, and now they can't tolerate that anymore.
Yeah.
So when you're healthier, you don't tolerate the poison as well. It takes time of smoking cigarettes so you can smoke all day and not cough.
To get that tolerance.
Because the cells indurate, they become, the stepping stone is toxic. You get toxic buildup of reactive oxygen species and toxic material, and then the cells indurate, and then they ulcerate, and then they become cancer. Okay. So it's a stepping stone. So the lack of toleration for toxins and poisons is the stepping stone to cancer.
Okay.
We want to have a healthy body to be intolerant of things that are unhealthy for us. Okay. You eat something bad, you should feel bad.
Right.
If you eat all the bad food, you eat fast food and junk food and french fries and salt, and you don't feel bad afterwards, then you're not healthy enough to feel bad, and you're at very high risk of getting sick. Right.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's important to consider the fact, like he's saying, 6 months just to get to the place where you appreciate it, but quite a bit longer to get to the place where you really don't prefer the ribs, or you don't prefer those other foods. You lost the emotional time. Of course, it's not you're not falling off a cliff.
Yeah, of course. Of appreciation. You're getting, as it goes to 2 months and 3 months, you're appreciating it more and more and more. But I know of people who've said to me, I've heard you say before that it takes 6 months to really fully change your taste buds, and they didn't believe it. Yeah. And because at 2 or 3 months they weren't loving the food as much. Yes. But then when they got to 6 months, then they said, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And I got to 6 months, I really started loving the food. Nice. But it's not, but it does happen the longer you're on the diet.
Yeah. And certainly it will depend for everybody too, of like your.
Of course. The more unhealthy they are, the more they detox up front.
Yeah.
In other words, eating healthfully can be uncomfortable, but it's more uncomfortable for the person who's eating more unhealthy. The healthier you are, the less uncomfortable you feel. Right. So when you first switch in, you don't just get fatigued, but you also get withdrawal depression from the junk food. You actually get a type of depression. It's called dysthymia. It's not quite as severe as major depressive episode, but you kind of like to feel, if you feel fatigued, but you feel depressed. You're not eating those foods anymore. Yeah. So people don't, and then when they're in this withdrawal depression from not eating their favored addictive substance, then they're at high risk of being sucked back into an addiction. Right. Because they're not emotionally in a good place.
And to make the distinction of when you say 6 months, you're talking about like Nutritarian 6 months, not like going back and forth and kind of easing in. This is
the dabbling makes it more difficult.
Yes.
Because people never really fully love the food.
Right.
And
right.
and it maintains their attraction to those concentrated flavors. So people will say to me, how come you don't allow xylitol, erythritol, stevia, these things that are non-calorie sweeteners? Because it keeps people wanting to eat things that are too sweet.
Yeah.
And then they don't ever get rid of not wanting things that are that sweet.
Yeah.
We desire things that are that sweet. They're too overly sweetened.
Right. Yeah. They're created in a lab to be sweet.
They're so sweet.
Yeah.
And they're just perpetuating people's desire to eat sweets.
Right. Yeah. So what exactly causes cravings? What is it that causes the cravings? And are cravings and food addiction kind of the same thing?
Yes.
But are they different sort of levels of it, or are they just kind of the same thing?
No, there's different things going on, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing going on has to do with dopamine stimulation.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's very much affected by how fast the calories enter the bloodstream.
Okay.
So fried foods are addicting because when you fry a food, it gets crispy. The carbohydrate has a carbohydrate component that enters the bloodstream rapidly, and the oil component enters the bloodstream rapidly too. So you get a carbohydrate oil sandwich. You can get, eating a fried food, you can get 50 calories a minute entering the bloodstream. 50 calories a minute. When you eat a nut or a bean, you're getting 1 or 2 calories a minute entering the bloodstream.
Right.
1 or 2 calories a minute doesn't rev up fat storage hormones. So the eating even, you can't get as much concentrated calories coming in per minute as much as when you eat a fried food.
Right.
Or just plain sugar and just plain like ice cream or something like that probably could equate. But in any case, that's like when you snort cocaine, how the head gets a big hit.
Yeah.
And people like to go after the recreating with
that
poisonous
feeling,
substances. The feeling of the high you get from eating really concentrated calories, flooding a lot of calories in at once.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So the cravings and the food addiction are kind of the same thing, maybe on a spectrum or something, but. And you've talked about. Go ahead.
No, this person who's now not having these foods anymore, their brain is starved for dopamine. After a while, I'm going to tell you to breathe at 10 breaths a minute when you're used to breathing at 14.
Right.
In 5 minutes, you're going to be gasping to want more air. But with food, it's different because the dopamine, they take the dopamine away, and in a few days, they're getting unhappy, more miserable, more irritable, a little anxious, a little depressed, and all they want is something sweet or something with concentrated calories to feel good again.
Yeah.
And it makes them feel good again. So the craving has to do with them wanting to feel good because their body has become dependent on excessive amount of dopamine stimulation. And now they're not as emotionally stable without it.
Right.
Just the person off cigarettes, they might be okay for a day or two, but the third day, they just can't live without that cigarette.
Right.
And the cocaine addicts are doing okay for 5 to 6 days, but on the weekend, they want their cocaine.
Yeah.
They can't go that many days without it because they're really starving for that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Whether it's oxycodone or whatever, or you know what I mean? So food is no different. People are starving. They call it a craving, but it's really it really is one of the forms of addiction.
Okay, yeah. So what is the cure for cravings? What is the cure for food addiction?
There's only one cure for any type of addiction.
Okay.
Abstinence.
Abstinence.
There's only cure. In other words, you have to, if you had a child that you loved so much and they were a heroin addict, I would keep that person handcuffed to my wrist. I would never let them out of my sight.
Yeah.
Because they need a time period of not having heroin.
Yeah.
That may have to be a year. They maybe have to be put in their own. I would make my house would be their prison. They'd have a good life, and if they want to go out,
they have a lot of really good Nutritarian food. I bet you.
And if they want to go out, they'd go out. They'd go out and with somebody's with them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't let the possibility of their biochemical and medical chemical makeup driving the need for those substances overtake their logical self. Make it easy for them not to do this.
Right.
And it's the same with food addiction. My whole career has been trying to give people what they need to remove those obstacles to change, because this is difficult. And I know that a person that's overweight wants to change. They don't want to be diabetic. They don't want to have a stroke. They don't want to get demented. They don't want to cut short their life by 20 years. It's just too hard for them to do it. And so I'm thinking of how I can help people, make the food taste great, remove those obstacles to change, give them the data and the information they need of how they're going to navigate through the difficult part in the beginning to get to that place we're talking about.
Yeah.
This becomes easy and the way you prefer to eat. And for some people, we know that. Some people, it's much more difficult for them. And it has to do with their background or their home life situation,
right.
or just the fact that some people genetically are more addictive, develop more tendency towards addiction, toward food addiction. And that's where lately I'm trying to put together and have put together a beautiful setting where people can actually come and live for a period of time. And in this safe and comfortable setting, the food tastes fantastic, and they're not tempted to eat anything else. And they're taught how to make it, how to make the food, but also they're given the type of counseling and psychological and informational knowledge they need to beat those addictions and to make this work for the rest of their life.
Right.
But they need that time away from those attractive substances. The
right.
cocaine addict needs to stay away from cocaine for 8 to 12 weeks. And the food addict needs to not be tempted with those foods in a safe environment for 2 to 3 months. So when they're going back, they're no longer craving that. They don't have that problem with the dopamine, trying to fight their own demons all the time.
Right.
This is hard enough to do without having to
right.
fight your own demons driving you to eat those foods.
Yeah.
But we give them the skills they need to how to deal with their life, how to deal with the life issues. But they don't have to deal with the strong addictive biochemical attraction and cravings that they can never get rid of on their own. So that's why I built this facility.
Yeah.
Which I'm calling now the Eat to Live Retreat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so personally satisfying to me and rewarding.
Right.
Because I like to see people make this miraculous health transformation. But when I give lectures and when I have 1-week getaways and retreats, and when I work for corporations that have me go in there and change people's lives by teaching them for a week how they should, and really getting into their head and really motivating them, in those cases, the majority of people do not follow through and change their life.
Right.
Only a small percent, perhaps 20% of the people you educate very, very well will do this. But out of the people that come into our retreat and stay there, let's say 10 weeks, out of those people, then you have a more than 90% success rate in following them over the years after that, because we've changed who they are as people. I can give you so many incredible examples, but the point is that their personality changed. They become more outgoing. They become more creative. Yeah. They become more happy. Their whole life lights up in a different way.
Yeah, it's worth everything. Yeah.
This one lady who was at one of my retreat. She lost 50 pounds when she was here for the 3 months, but then the year she was gone, she lost 150 more. So she can see, that's the thing. They had yo-yoed on diets and they lost weight and gained it back and lost weight again, but they couldn't sustain losing all that weight they needed to lose. But once they really got the right thought processes and get rid of their addictive feelings, and they know that it's insane not to do this.
Yes.
I always say you have to be insane to eat conventional food, but since conventional, everybody says, I'm insane, I qualify. The point is that conventional food makes you partially insane.
It's funny, but it's true.
It's true because it takes over your brain. It makes you be not the person you could have been.
Yes.
And food destroys your brain and makes you think differently and makes you a different individual who now your existence is focused on feeding your brain's desire for dopamine stimulation. So you make money so you can go drink alcohol, eat fancy food, or snort, or do some addictive behaviors. You're living to pursue your addictive needs, as opposed to living to be creative, loving, learning. You can't be as good a mother, you can't be as good a father, but you can't be as good as a person. You can't be as good as a human.
Your potential.
You put your whole life's potential, whether it's work, whether it's creativity, whether it's your ability to be happy, whether it's your ability to do, and you can't solve the stresses in your life when you have 2 masters. You can't. Your addictive self, is your primitive brain, is one of your masters, and you can't take care of your life. You have to get that master off your back.
I'm like a little teary because I'm thinking of people that I know and myself coming from this, and this is so powerful. This work is so powerful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Because this makes me think a lot of different dieting plans that you can do to kind of, heal yourself or become better based on what that diet plan thinks is good for you. Like bright line eating kind of a thing where it's more boot camp-ish, very regimented, very do this, which sort of takes the choice out of it for you, which works for some people.
Short term.
Yeah.
But they don't really learn to be free if they don't really learn to be in control of their life. So they're still getting into this addictive way of thinking too. You know what I mean?
So my question is, do you believe with your vast medical knowledge and treatment of patients and all that, do you believe that anybody, if they could have the right circumstances, could stop being a food addict?
Yes. I think that people can get rid of their addictions to cocaine, and there's a biological attraction for opiates.
So this idea that once an addict, always an addict.
Right.
You don't believe that. Right, because this is a thing that they say all the time in 12-step programs.
They have a tendency towards, they have a tendency to be becoming an addict again.
Yeah,
they
maybe
still
more
have
than others, but...
A lot of people have a predisposition for diabetes, a predisposition for breast cancer.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they have to get diabetes or breast cancer. Mm-hmm. They can live in a manner to be...
But once you've gone there, once you've gone down that addictive path with Coke or with alcohol or whatever it is, or food, you believe that no matter who it is, they can heal and stop being...
That's where the Nutritarian approach is so powerful.
So tell us about that. So why does it work?
Because the body is not just, it's not just dopamine insensitive, and it's not just biochemically craving. It's also not, the body is not being supplied with the right phytochemicals and nutrients it needs for the brain to function at a high level of function, to fight off the addiction, to fight off the breast cancer,
okay, yeah.
to fight off your genetic tendencies. In other words, this is what we do uniquely here.
Yeah.
When our food is made, and this sounds like kind of silly to a degree, but the best soil makes the best healthy person, makes the best food.
Right.
And the best food makes the best results.
Yeah.
So it's like how drugs can be bad for you and how cocaine and these things and these sugar can be driving the bad thing. But when you start taking in kale and collard greens and tomatoes and pomegranates that have been grown in soil that's made of, crushed volcanic mineral rock and jungle and forest compost and earthworm castings made that are fed healthy, where the earthworms are fed healthy, and bat guano. In other words, we have paid attention to having the best quality soil in the world, and the best quality of the soil is the best microbiome in it. So now the food is uniquely super nutritional rich, and eating a diet that's designed to be nutritionally complete and phytochemical rich, it changes people's biology. It changes who you are. Your brain gets changed, and people are able to make recoveries from disease that they couldn't. It accelerates their change and accelerates their ability to make a complete recovery, and it helps them no longer be a drug addict.
Yeah.
What I'm saying right now is that a diet of nutritional excellence will help the cocaine addict not crave cocaine anymore, because we're supplying the brain with the reparative substances that they can now be a more fulfilled and whole and healthy human being.
Yeah. Okay, I have to harp on this a sec, you guys, because this to me is the biggest thing. It's the biggest thing that I think people don't understand. When they think about the Nutritarian diet, they think, no salt, no oil, no sugar, it tastes like crap. They don't think about the fact that, I'm telling you, that's what they say. But what happens with the food is, after the few months, you go, oh my God, this actually tastes good. I was wrong before. And then you're not only starting to heal those things, but as you're saying, you're actually getting extra stuff that you never had before that's actually healing the fact that you're an addict, or healing the fact that you have a tendency towards that. It's making it easier for you to be less of an addict, or for it to be easier over time.
Exactly.
And so when we talk about Bright Line Eating, I love Bright Line Eating or these other programs. They're great for people who are in a huge bind and need to get something done quick.
But if they were doing this right, they wouldn't eat it.
Right.
If they were doing this right from the start, if they were taking in a lot of nutrients in their brain, if they would just give it a period of time. Just give it a period of time. You
don't
really do
inch
100%,
in, do the
and
whole
put
thing.
both feet in and really understand what you're doing. You don't need to do that. It doesn't. Your body takes care of it on its own. You don't want to overeat nuts when you're eating the right kind of salads and you have the right kind of salad dressing. When you do this the right way, and you're flooding the body with nutrients, you're no longer looking for craving those calories to hit the dopamine in the brain anymore. You don't need the dopamine hit. You've already taken care of that because you've repaired the tissues. The tissue store of nutrients is so high. However, it does take a few months, even if eating super healthy food, because your diet can be super high in nutrients. But your body is still not super high in nutrients. It takes a few months for the density of nutrients to get high in your tissues and in your brain. And you can't accelerate that because it's limited biochemically of how tissues can uptake nutrients.
So let's talk about that real quick, because so in my family personally, just in this last year, I've been a Nutritarian for almost 6 years. I did the put my toe in the water method, and it is not fun. You don't want to do that method. You do want to jump in. I promise you, it's easier in the long run to do it that way. It's harder in the short term, but way easier in the long run to do it. But my family has watched me do this, and if you guys have seen my interview with my brother, he's lost almost 70 pounds now in the last year, being a Nutritarian. And my mom actually healed her own diabetes. She became diabetic a year and a half ago, and within the last few months, she just got the diagnosis that her blood sugars are better, and she doesn't have to take the medication anymore. So I know personally from family what it can do for me and what it can do for your health. But I think the crux here is that several months in the beginning of so many people have different factors in their lives. Well, my husband doesn't do it, or my wife doesn't do it, or my kids won't do it, and I have all these challenges.
The addict comes up with irrational excuses. Part of the brain's job is to make sure to serve your addiction. And you'll come up with reasons why you can't do it. They have to get over it. There's no excuse is no excuse.
Yeah,
there's no reason to do it.
You got to do the cold turkey.
You got to save your life. But
so
I just wanted to add that the overweight diabetic is on the average spending between $12,000 and $15,000 a year extra on medical care and medicines.
Okay.
And then they usually have at least one hospitalization over every 10 years that costs them over $200,000. It costs it. So you have the employer is incentivized not to have, and the person doesn't perform well, and the high sugar excursions cause them to be depressed. Their life becomes no longer pleasurable.
Right.
And so no matter how much it takes, and so what I'm saying is that doing this is a phenomenal investment. It's an investment for your life, for your future, to not have it's a tremendous investment economically.
Yeah. Because
you're going to invest in something that's going to give you sustain your future.
Yeah.
And because it gets worse. You're a little sick now, it just gets worse.
Yeah. Right.
And your expenses go up, and you're suffering, and you're being tortured by the medical profession, going in and out of emergency rooms and hospitals. Your life becomes living hell.
People always end up saying, oh, this is what happens when you get older. Don't get old. You end up feeling this way. Do you feel that way? How old are you, by the way? Can I ask?
I'll be 65 in a few weeks.
65. Do you ever feel those kinds of things like, oh, this is just a product of aging?
No, I feel like I'm faster now than I was when I was younger, and I can actually ski harder down the mountain because I'm a little more time to exercise.
Yeah.
And I can finally get my tennis game where I want it. And I'm ready to take up a new sport. I want to do like kite surfing or something. I was watching on the internet these guys skiing down moguls on a kite now, and I go, oh God, I got to try that.
Okay, you're going to see Dr. Furhman, his career, he's going to start when he's 70.
I'm getting more into, I'm always, so in other words, I'm enjoying life and enjoying being youthful at 65, where most of my kids, most of the people I went to high school with are dead.
Yeah.
And the food doesn't taste that great once you're in the coffin.
I've heard him say that before.
It's true. Most of my friends are dead. That is true.
Yeah, ask any of the Egyptian pharaohs if their food tastes good that they brought with them.
And you know what they mostly died of, the people I went to high school with?
What?
Most of them died of drug addictions.
Really?
Yeah. They got into in the 1960s, whatever it is. They wind up going, getting into drugs and stuff, and they they got, they tried some kind of drug addictive stuff.
Wow. Too, Yeah, all addictions, right? We have all of these things are all based on addiction.
Addictions are deadly, and the biggest addiction, most deadly addiction is food addiction.
Yeah, and maybe even the hardest to cure because you have to eat, right?
Well, it's because everybody around you is also a food addict, encourages you to join them in your addictive behavior.
Right.
So the whole social system set up, the social norm is set up to be an addict, a food addict.
So can we talk
and alcohol too. So it's a social norm.
It's true. Alcohol as well.
Alcohol and food to
alcohol as well. Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about your retreat then? Some details I would like to know because of this beautiful, amazing property. I'm telling you, it feels very peaceful here too, with the view. And on a clear day, you can even see the ocean. I mean, it is gorgeous here.
It's incredible at this. You're not even looking at you're looking at like the gorgeous scenery over the mountains, and you can see the sunset. And it's just, I'm so
and the fruit trees, he's got what, 40?
I got about 45 exotic fruit trees, so I can feed an army here from the premises.
Yeah, and fresh fruit that you can pick right off the trees.
And growing the vegetables. There's so much greens in the garden for this fruit when the soil is rich.
Yeah.
What happened was I put this garden in, and they didn't put the rabbit fence around it sufficiently.
Okay.
So the first thing after I fully planted is rabbits came and chewed everything down to the ground.
They know what's good. They know the good
But
stuff.
I came back in 2 weeks, and everything just exploded.
Wow.
Because the soil's so rich that it went from nothing to full heads of like 1.5 foot collards and kales and string beans and broccoli, you know, in just like a couple of weeks. How did this grow so fast? And I planted this, you know, with my trees. I have cherimoyas on the tree that are here, not just the trees I planted.
Okay,
like 6
I'm moving
weeks
in. That's my favorite
so
fruit.
This is like a dream of mine to have like a, to be able to, and it's amazing that the fact that San Diego is kind of like a desert, which means it doesn't rain here hardly.
Right.
So you have irrigation to grow crops, and it's beautiful weather. And I'm from New Jersey, so it's cooler here in the summer, but much hotter in the winter.
Right.
So we can grow tomatoes all year round, and it's always beautiful here.
Yeah.
When it's not raining, every day's a nice day.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this idea that, you know, a diabetic will spend so much money on their medical care, and not just diabetes, right? Anybody. And I think we downplay a little bit the costs of just living a normal standard American diet life. When you stop at the gas station, every time you go to the gas station, you buy $5 or $10 worth of snacks, or you're at the grocery store and you end up buying those little candies in the aisle. That adds up over time. And so we don't really consider those costs too. But making commitment like this, because, and I gotta say, I was looking at some of the comments when you had been posting in the beginning about opening this retreat. I was looking through some of the comments, and people were going, oh, how could I possibly afford that, right? Like, I have a job, or how am I gonna take the time off work? So first of all, talk about the time span, like, of a visit.
A lot of people couldn't afford it, but the point is that when they get sick, and they're put in a hospital, they wind up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to be in a hospital. They can afford it when they have their heart attack or their stroke. And at that point, right? And the medical, but I know medical insurance causes a lot of it. They still cost them a lot to be out of work. In other words, being sick devastates your life. And this may require some people to put a major investment into it, but it's going to take care of the rest of their life. You know, I wish that this could be so anybody could come, and I hope in the future that we can have a non-profit support people who couldn't afford it. You know, that's definitely something I have to work on and will work on in the future. But for now, this is life-saving for people, and I have so many people come in who have chest pain, and they didn't have an angioplasty or bypass surgery, which was a $200,000 procedure. You know, this is saving people's lives here, and and for people who need it, it's you know, it saved their life. Talking about a person who could have been dead if they weren't here. You know, and people don't realize they'll buy an iPhone, a fancy iPhone. They'll spend a lot of money on buying a fancy car, but when it comes to food, they're looking for the cheapest thing they can find to put in their mouth. You know, we have to spend money, and they'll spend all this money to doctors and on medications and drugs and treatments that do nothing, but to spend money on getting rid of your food addictions, dropping your weight, and getting back to good health and learning the skills you need to be healthy for the rest of your life. What's a better way? Where's a better spot to put your money? To just shove it in your blanket, or to put it into some superficial, you know, commercial good, or to buy a fancier car, or to buy the most important thing in your life is your health. It's the foundation of your happiness and your future ability to even make money.
Agreed.
You know.
Definitely. What is the what do you suggest the time commitment is when someone stays? A month? You say
it depends on who they are.
So do you do a qualification?
Well, if they're really sick and have severe food addiction, they're significantly overweight with diabetes and heart disease, they should be here 12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Right, it's ideal. We have programs where they come for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. And a couple of times during the year we have some 2-week stays, but those are for people who wanted to come in to enjoy themselves here. And take advantage of the volleyball and the swimming and the beautiful weather and the beautiful food and the gourmet Nutritarian food, and to live, you know, so it's nice. But the people who are really sick should be here 8 to 12 weeks. 8 to 12 weeks,
Okay, awesome. So my very last question is, can you tell me what it would be like if you went to the retreat? Like, what do you get here? What are the benefits of going to the retreat?
Oh, well, they get me taking care of them. I become their personal physician, so I'm their doctor when they come in.
Is there any way that you can do that any other way? Like,
not really. You know what it is? I have so many responsibilities with lecturing and speaking and writing. That I limit my. So I'm taking care of the patients here at the retreat so I'm lecturing to them, speaking, and seeing them one-on-one, and taking over their managing their medical issues, and taping their medications, and they may need therapeutic, regenerative therapeutic massage through their condition, like fibromyalgia. They have tight muscles. We have that here, but generally they get everything. They don't pay extra for medical care. It's one fee. It includes my care and lecturing, and of course they have, you know, the nurse, psychological counseling, group therapy, individual therapy. The therapy is geared towards getting rid of their food addiction and changing over their life. So they have therapy, they have exercise, including supervised exercise, and designing an exercise, some exercise classes, but they have, they have recreational things that are fun. Take them to the beach, some are walking on the beach, some are running on the beach. We have, whether it's sand volleyball or sand newcomb, it's going in the pool, so there's exercise. We're gonna have a 1/3 of a mile track where they can ride the bikes.
Wow.
We have hiking up in the woods, and I have, this will scare people away. I have rattlesnake gaiters. That means you wear this gaiter on your leg, so you can't get bitten by a rattlesnake. If you want to hike in the wood, you want to hike those mountains over there, you can go hiking on the trails. Like rattlesnakes there's like hardly ever a case, but since there are some rattlesnakes out there in the trails, I have rattlesnake gaiters just so I don't want people bit by rattlesnakes that are hiking in the wild. But a lot of people, but there's beautiful, it's just such a beautiful place to be and to enjoy life. And, they're depending on time, in cooking classes, in lectures, having therapy, doing exercises, and learning how to eat and they're trying to leave with mastering certain recipes they love.
Yeah.
They have to learn a certain amount of salad dressings, not just to make them, but they have to learn the salad dressings they love how to make them. And they have to learn a certain amount of main dishes they love to eat, but they know how to make those dishes. So they're mastering the technique as time goes by, and they're learning to retrain their taste buds, improve their smell and their taste, and to remove their addiction. So we're giving them the skills they need to get rid of their addiction. And they're eating the best tasting, highest quality food in the world, which facilitates their change. The high nutrient food. So they're getting all this care, and they're getting my staff here that are caring, sensitive, relationship building. So they're also building camaraderie among the guests themselves. You know what I mean? And they're building relationships that will continue into their future. Yeah. They have a relationship with me that continues into the future. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know these people really well. I'm committed to doing everything to make sure they recover and get healthy for the rest of their life. Yeah. And I enjoy this. It's tremendously satisfying for me.
It's a dream for you to have a place like this, right?
And I always say to other people, I give them superpowers because it's a dream for them too. Because they're able to take charge of their health to a degree that they become a role model. When they go home, they become respected. They're transformed their health. They're now happy and more productive, and they can now influence other people in their community much more, and be more creative, and be more, and think more clearly. And the most consistent response when people do this is they say, the fog has lifted from my brain. I can finally feel normal and think normally and think more clearly and have more thoughts and have more creative thoughts in my mind. And they always say how it improved their emotional outlook on life. Even as they're dropping 100 pounds and their diabetes and their heart disease is going away and their joint pains are getting better and their asthma gets better and their allergies are going away, whatever is improving, they always say, it changed my emotional outlook on life.
I don't have anything else to say. You said it all. That's amazing. Okay, guys. Oh, I hope that you liked this interview. It was transformative for me. I teared up twice, I promise. It was wow, just thinking of the transformation that could occur for someone, knowing that I've been through it myself, but it's taken me so long to get here to this feeling of peace, knowing that the food I'm eating is supporting the person that I want to be. And it could do the same for you. That's the whole idea here. And you're gonna get the absolute best kind of chance at doing this by going to the Eat to Live retreat, getting to see Dr. Furhman in person. I mean, having him as your actual doctor, and then learning everything you need to know and in just a short period of time to do that sort of transition with the best chances of success ever. So I'm gonna put a link for this down below. I'm gonna try to put one up above as well, depending on where you're seeing this video. So check it out, see if it's something you're interested in. I'm gonna put a link straight to the website that talks about all the little things that you need to know about it. So check that out. Just, as a reminder, I'm doing a cheat sheet for this video. So if you guys are interested in getting the little rundown of what he said, the tips and techniques and things like that, and the real hard-hitting points, you want to get that on a little PDF that you can print out. Sign up for that at thewateringmouth.com/cheat sheets. And if you guys like my videos, just as always, please like, comment, subscribe to my channel so you can get more of these updates as soon as I post videos. And please, down below in the comment section, let's start to have a conversation about this as we do with all my other videos. Let me know, what was the most impactful thing about this interview? What was the thing that hit you the most that maybe you feel you want to change or you didn't know before? Let's have a discussion about this, okay? And very, very importantly, I know that there was a ton of information in this interview that could be good for anybody. Like my brother, I'm sure, would love this, my mom, anyone that's sort of interested in their health and interested in this kind of information. This could be very impactful for them if they feel maybe they have a little bit of trouble with cravings or they have a little bit of trouble with food addiction. How do you really get over that? I think we kind of touched on that here, and hopefully it will open that up. So please share this video with people that you love, people that you want to make tear up like I teared up. Share it and see if we can spread this message as far as we can. Dr. Furhman, thank you so much again for letting me interview you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure for me too, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye. Bye, guys.